Now, Election Day is, as we've mentioned, less than a week away, and control of the House and Senate are up for grabs.
Now, the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows Republicans are estimated to lead in 228 House seats. If that pans out, the GOP will reclaim the House majority. In Virginia's 2nd District, Democratic incumbent and January 6th committee member Elaine Luria is looking to defend her seat. Her Republican challenger, Jen Kiggins, has questioned the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, and she's not alone. It's a disturbing trend that we are following. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane joins us now for more on this. Scott, so good to have you. So tell us, how is the race in Virginia's 2nd District really a preview of what we should expect throughout the nation?
It is emblematic of any number of the dozens of very close contested races in which there is an incumbent running against somebody who denies the results of the 2020 election. When CBS News characterizes somebody as an election denier, we mean that individual has either questioned the legitimacy of the vote total in 2020, still fails to say unequivocally that Joe Biden is the duly elected U.S. president, or supported one of the audits or one of the legal challenges to try to overturn the 2020 elections. And there aren't just a few election denier candidates. There are hundreds. Our CBS News count shows about 308 federal or statewide Republican nominees on the ballot Tuesday that are considered election deniers. That's 308 out of roughly 590. Doing the quick math, it's between 50 and 60% of all the nominees.
Really?
Many of them will win.
But what's strange from my point of view is that I believe we understand that it also, the denial of election results and the lack of faith in the system can turn voters off and can bring turnout down in some cases. Do you have any sense as to the impact these election deniers have on their own turnout or the perception of their vote actually counting?
We saw evidence of just that January 5th, 2021, when the Georgia Senate runoff happened, and there was a consideration that Republican turnout was depressed because that was happening amid the peak of election denialism right after the 2020 elections. In this case, our polling, our CBS News polling, indicates not only is there a party divide over whether the preservation of democracy, of functioning democracy, is important, our CBS News polling shows that it may not be driving voters in the first place, though Democrats view it as an important issue, much more than Republicans do. It's pretty much a 50-50 shot, as you see there, between whether that's more important or a strong economy is more important. So, despite the fact there is a risk to the U.S. democracy, there's not an indication it's moving votes.
Well, I can understand how people who are concerned about their own family's finances might prioritize that. But I'm amazed, Scott, that it's about 50 to 60% of the candidates running on Republican tickets feel this way. What are the implications then for our democracy if people who don't believe in the faith of our electoral system are then put into positions of power? What warnings are we hearing from election officials?
Significant. First of all, many of the election-denying candidates are actually incumbents who were elected on the same ballot that they're claiming was fraudulent in 2020. Use that as your starting point. What risks move forward? Well, election-denying candidates may be in some cases in position to change state or federal election law. Some of these election-denying candidates are running to be secretaries of state or governor, in which they'd appoint administrators of elections. Some of them will have oversight over the federal component of federal elections. So there are people who could have an impact moving forward. But there's also this risk for more denialism, more claims of fraud this year, because there will be a lag in the reporting of results in some states, just like there was 2 years ago. In Michigan, in Pennsylvania, we heard from a local elections administrator in Michigan who said, expect delays again.
So Michigan has perfected the assembly line. And that is one of the many ways we make sure our absentee ballots are processed safe and secure. And as a result, it takes quite a bit of time. In Ingham County, I expect unofficial results to come in maybe around 3 a.m. at the latest. But for other counties, it could be up to 48 hours because it takes so long to process absentee ballots.
That information vacuum can give rise to conspiracy theories and baseless claims. It can do so again next week.
Wow. And this is likely why the president has announced he'll make a speech tonight about the threat to democracy, a very important issue we'll continue to cover. Scott MacFarlane, great to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Thanks for being
Scotty
here.
Mac.